352-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just shipped.
Real people are getting real and lasting pain relief at QC Kinetics.
Who would have thought that I would be in better shape now than after I got out of the Marines at 22?
It's great to be active again.
I've played 36 holes multiple days in a row without pain. Everything is great.
Are you tired of living with chronic joint pain? QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged tissue, natural healing agents from your own body, so your body can heal itself the way it was designed, with no pain pills, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
It was super successful, and I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
Thanks to QC Kinetics, quality of life is just a lot better.
Definitely changed my life.
Call now to see if regenerative medicine could be the answer you've been looking for. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics have proven protocols that can give you lasting relief now, and the consultation is free.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Do you suffer from joint pain or anxiety? Natural Life CBD Kratom and Kava can help. Our CBD certified associates will consult with you. Chocolate, gummies, CBD oil. We have Delta 8 products with quality you can trust, all held to the highest standard. Natural Life has 2 locations to serve you, open 7 days a week, located in the S-Curve and in the Heathbrook Shopping Plaza. Give them a call at 352-355-3040. And if you stop in and tell them you heard it on WOCA, you'll receive 20% off your purchase at Natural Life CBD Kratom and Kava.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Hey folks, you need to know all about Bob Wine's War on Inflation with their fabulous warm weather deals this week. Now listen, the whole long list of your favorite fruit, starting with blueberries, they're all on BOGO this week. They've got loquat, dragon fruit, pineapple, figs, apple, pear, peach, cherry, many more, all buy one, get one free. Then check out the new inflation-fighting price on summer annuals. They're already low-priced at $2.99, but you can mix or match a tray of 18 of your favorites for just $29.99. Get this, all flowering vines are 50% off, and a great selection of citrus starting at just $69.99. Don't forget crepe myrtles. They're 50% off, prices starting at just $9.99. Now don't wait. Check the ad and hurry to Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery on Southeast 38th Street in Ocala. Open daily till 4, Saturdays till 3. Keeping Ocala green and growing for 70 years.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings each month at 9:05 a.m., Robert Colin with On Top of the World will be our guest as we learn all about the exciting lifestyle and new home choices available at Ocala's premier adult active community, On Top of the World. From time to time, Robert will bring guests, and you're sure to enjoy our little chats. After all, you deserve the world, and we bring it to you.
Nirvana Medical Spa is Ocala's premier medical spa, home to a variety of non-invasive corrective laser treatments and facials. Besides filler, neurotoxin, laser hair, we offer PRP, tattoo removal, body contouring, vaginal rejuvenation, urinary incontinence, and men's sexual health. Become a better, brighter, happier you at Nirvana Medical Spa.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Friday, you know, if you want to talk about Coach Brent Hall, well, his numbers tell you all you need to know. 22 years high school football coach. The man was 53 games over 500, 3 Florida high school championships, 2 statewide Hall of Fame selections, your name on the field of a program you started. And, you know, he coached Jack Youngblood. He coached Scott Brantley, the NFL people he coached, from Monticello in Jefferson County all the way to when he came here. He coached at Forest, Bellevue. Just a legend in the football world. Now, I got to meet Coach Hall once, never had the chance to sit down with him and talk to him, but I knew the football mind because I was a football player. We all knew who Coach Hall was because we were football players. You knew the best coaches in the state. You knew who Coach Hall was. You knew who Troy Lamb was. You knew who Corky Rogers was. Well, a guy who coached with Coach Hall, who then went on to become the athletic director at Forest High School and then the athletic director for the entire county of Marion County. Jody Phillips is on the phone lines with us. Coach, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning,
Coach.
Tom.
Coach, I know you didn't play for Coach Hall, but you worked under Coach Hall when you were at Bellevue High School. Talk about one of the first things as a coach when you met Coach Hall. One of the first things that registered with you about Coach Hall.
Well, first of all, he was a very discipline-oriented person, just in his general life, so that was easy to tell from day one. But one of the things I'd say that stuck out, first day we showed up at practice, I remember, and I didn't know him very well, had met him a time or two, but had never played for him or coached with him up to that point. And we got out to practice, and Coach had, of course, same coaching gear that we all had on, the old coaching shorts and coach's shirt and whistle. But the difference was that he had a pair of Brogan boots on. And he wore Brogan boots to practice every single day, and most of the time to the games, because he felt like he was going to work, and, he was going to work hard. And so he wore his boots out every day, and just kind of set him apart, and that was sort of his way of thinking. And I just remember he was so, again, disciplined to the point that he did things so regiment. One of those coaches that never wanted to move on to something else until we got what was at hand through to the kids. And, one thing about his teams that no one could ever deny is that they would be prepared and they could execute. He was just a stickler for it. Blocking, tackling, and all the basics was what you did every single day. So, special man for sure. Very special man.
Coach Hall played football the way it was supposed to be played. If you can't tackle and block, you can't play the game. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
That is exactly the way he was. Exactly. And his teams and his players showed that, and it was because of the fact that you did it every day with him. I remember at practices that, and of course, this was back in the younger years, and I'm just an assistant coach and trying to learn how to coach and what that looks like. And in my mind, okay, yeah, we ran this play 3, 4, 5 times, and it's time to move on to something else. But he didn't like it, and he didn't like the way that we executed, a reach block or whatever it might be, or the way the back came out of the backfield. And so guess what? We didn't run it 3 more times or 5 more times. We ran it as many times as it took for him to be satisfied that all 11 guys understood, what their job was. And, that was him. It was about all the kids and all 11 and all 22 and, the whole team, and everybody had a role, and he talked about that constantly. It was something constant. And if you played for him, you understood what the team meant, that's for sure.
Is it safe to say that with 22 years experience, with a record like he had, 53 games over 500, 3 state championships, you don't get longevity like that and all without being able to evolve and change, though? Because there's a different way that football was played in the early 70s when he started at Forest High School and the way football was played in the late 80s at Bellevue.
Right, but I do get that, but I think people like Coach Hall, or coaches like Coach Hall, understood that there may be some differences in the sense of the way you communicate with kids, and maybe some of the day-to-day things that go on within a program. But the one thing, again, that wasn't changing with him was the expectations and, and the expectations at practice, the expectations that you had in the school, the way that you represented yourself, and he treated everyone the same. And I think that kids resonated and got that because there was no different rules or anything for any different player. There wasn't. If you didn't practice and you didn't come to school, you didn't play. And he carried that on forever, as long as I knew him in the coaching realm, even like you're saying, from the 70s into the 90s and then the early 2000s. He just he was just a special man in the sense of being able to carry that over all those decades and continue to be relevant in the way that he chose to do things. And I think I would say this too, Tom, because it would be remiss if I didn't. A lot of people that don't know him, and you think about a football coach, you think of a football coach, and sometimes people may question, well, did he just know football? And I will tell you this, the one thing that I would say to somebody about Coach Hall, he knew more about everything than anyone I've probably ever met in my life. He was so well read, one of the smartest individuals that I ever worked with and really have ever had a relationship with. He was unbelievably smart man.
Is it safe to say that he wasn't a football coach as much as he was? While that was the avenue that he used, he was a shaper of young men and he was a maker of young men, and he just used football as the avenue to teach that life skill?
Oh, definitely. I think about some of the kids that played there for us at Bellevue, and certainly the Forest days. I mean, you've named some of them that were there with him, and from the Brantleys and Tyrone Young and others. But even at Bellevue, again, how relevant he was to these kids, the Jared Hetzels and Ryan Hearns and Garrett Robinsons and all that played for him there at Bellevue. Those young men are just incredibly successful businessmen. They're fathers, and I know he's very proud of them and all that they have accomplished.
It is one of those times where basketball, it was Coach Haley. Football, it was Coach Hall. Is that safe to say that's Marion County's coaching royalty, Haley and Hall?
Yeah, I mean it's always hard for me anyway to put any one or two individuals on a pedestal, but I certainly had tremendous respect for both of those men. While I did work with Coach Haley in my 2 years I spent at Vanguard. I never coached with him, but he was a colleague, so I got to know him extremely well over the years, and had tons of respect for him as well. But yes, I would say this, both of them, as far as Marion County and high school athletics go, those two men were very, very, very special, and they deserve to be somewhere up there on some pedestal, that's for sure.
Jody, we got to take a break. Can you hang out with me a couple minutes? So I got to ask you about youth football and his contribution to youth football. We'll be right back after this timeout on WOCA, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
Two-time U.S. Olympic basketball gold medalist Brittany Griner arrived in a court near Moscow on Friday wearing a Jimi Hendrix T-shirt. Her trial starts today after Russian officials claim she had cannabis oil in her luggage in February. Griner could face 10 years in prison. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan reiterated that Griner is wrongfully detained, but would not disclose what has been done to secure her release. Aaron Solomon is the founder of Legal X, the world's first legal technology group. He was on Fox Live and says this will not end well for Griner.
Is essentially it's the judge reciting a bunch of facts to get them into the record. In fact, the judge is going to do more work than the prosecution. The end result will absolutely be Brittany Griner being found guilty of all of the charges.
Thanks for listening, and a TGIF to you, my friend. USA Radio News.
Nirvana Medical Spa is Ocala's premier medical spa, home to a variety of non-invasive corrective laser treatments and facials. Besides filler, neurotoxin, laser hair, we offer PRP, tattoo removal, body contouring, vaginal rejuvenation, urinary incontinence, and men's sexual health. Become a better, brighter, happier you at Nirvana Medical Spa.
The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On the phone line this morning, joining us is former coach and with Coach Hall at Bellevue, a former coach at Vanguard, Forest, athletic director at Forest, county athletic director. Now he's retired, living the good life. Jody Phillips joins us.
Yeah. Hey, something, Tom, I'll share with you, too, just came to mind as well. That was kind of interesting. The newly named principal, Lamar Rembert, who is the principal over at Forest High School now, just recently named principal over there, is one of Coach Hall's former players. So I think that'll be kind of he didn't play for him at Forest. He played for him at Bellevue. But I think that'll be a neat deal for Lamar to kind of, put his twist on keeping Coach Hall and his name and likeness, involved in the program.
Yeah, there's a myriad of kids that are now adults in the real world that Coach Hall had a profound effect on. I talked to a few of them last night. Let's talk for a minute about kids because, yes, while he was a high school coach, in the early 70s, a family moved here with the last name Brantley. They relocated from South Carolina. They brought a guy named John Brantley Jr. I don't care about that guy too much. Then they brought, John Brantley Jr. came. He brought John III. That's the guy I don't care about too much. But he brought his younger brother, Scott, who, as a 10-year-old, I saw Scott at Florida Field and told my dad sitting in the stands, I want to do that. Because I'd watched Scott control a football game from the middle linebacker position, and I decided in the stands I wanted to give hits, not take hits. I wanted to do what Brantley was doing. And then I talked to him. Scott later on, he said one of the most profound things was when his dad and Coach Hall got together and created what is now the MCYFL. It was Marion County Independent Football League then, but now it's the Marion County Youth Football League. It's almost like Coach Hall is to youth football and football in this area like Mr. Yancey, Jim Yancey, was to youth golf and the golfers in this area. Still to this day with MCYFL, John Brantley Jr. and Coach Hall, along with other businessmen that help fund the thing, but they still have a lasting and touching effect even on mighty mites and tiny mites and everything, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old football players.
Correct, right. And, I remember I think Ernie Pendleton was one of the other gentlemen that was really highly involved with the Brantleys and Coach Hall on kind of putting that together back at, as you said, the Marion County Independent Football League at the time. And, those guys, Vince Arnold, Greg Paquin, have been dedicated to that league for so long. And it changed the face of football for us, that's for sure. I remember even in days talking about the people that would come from out of town, let's say move from out of state, and they would say, goodness, you guys don't have a youth football program here. And it really did kind of turn the corner, I think, for us. And certainly Coach Hall was a huge part of that, of being able to get kids prepared, active in the sport of football. And we all know that it's a difficult sport to play, and it certainly can be dangerous. And there's a lot of moms that get worried about their children being a part of it. And I know as a parent, my wife was that way, but they did a great job. My son participated in that league just from that standpoint, and it still carries on today and is very effective for our community. So he and the Brantleys and the Ernie Pendletons of the world, are the ones that we have to thank for that. And we're seeing those results today with these kids that are coming out of our area, and going to the University of Florida, the University of South Carolina, SEC schools, ACC schools, wherever. They're getting an opportunity to go out and represent our community. And so just a really, really neat thing that kind of, I guess, is part of his legacy.
I asked somebody who played football in Marion County, and then they had coached at MCYFL. They coached on the high school levels, and I said, "Did you work with Coach Hall?" They said yes, and I said, "Tell me a little about his coaching style." They said, coaching style wise. Now, while some of the way you talk to children nowadays and the way Coach Hall would have had to adjust, because there were some times that he was a '70s football coach. But that coaching style-wise, he would still teach the game the way he always taught it, because the way he taught it was as clean as you could play the game. He never coached the game where your head was down, you were hitting people, in the back, spearing people in the back. It was always face mask in the chest, shoulder into the chest, drive through people. That it was always that his coaching style, the way he taught the game of football, the fundamentals, would still play even in the rules of today, where a lot of people, Major Wright's hit that started the national championship game in 2008, Florida and Oklahoma, Major Wright would maybe be thrown out of school for that hit nowadays with the new rules. But I talked to somebody last night who said Coach Hall's teams wouldn't have had problem with the new rules because he taught them to hit people and to tackle people properly, not to take shortcuts. Is that your memory as well?
Oh yeah, I think that's a very good depiction. He was never about shortcuts. That was nothing that ever entered his mind. Again, everything was going to be done a certain way, and of all things, he respected the opponent. He respected the game, and he was going to make sure that his players did the same. That was on the forefront of everything that we ever did. He was about representing the game, representing the school, representing, the administration of the school. He was never. I can't imagine that there would be anyone that coached against the team that Coach Hall, was the coach of, that another coach come back and say, "Oh boy, I think they were dirty," or they were. That just didn't happen, because he was just so disciplined. And again, it was about respecting the game, respecting the opponent, and at the end of it, we all get up, we shake hands, and we either took home the victory or we lost, and we got to figure out a way to get better. So.
In 2011, 2012, I was at the Players Championship in Jacksonville, and I was with my adopted father, although some people call me his illegitimate child, David Lamb. I was with David, and we were talking, and Corky Rogers was sitting there with us. They were doing a radio show, and Corky was there, and it was, and Corky said, it must have been 2011. When I off the air, I asked Corky, I go, if you had to list, a lot of people say you're one of the best football coaches in the state of Florida. What do you think? He goes, well, it starts with Brent Hall. That was the first thing out of Corky Rogers' mouth. Why do you think Coach Hall had so much respect from his colleagues. I mean, Corky Rogers, pretty good football coach.
Yeah, I think you alluded to it earlier, just in the fact that he was never taking shortcuts, and I think people saw that in the product that he produced, in the young men and the teams that he put on the field. And he was special in that regard. He wasn't ever gonna be in a position for somebody to look at him and think, oh, he's one of those guys, or he's maybe he's all worried about himself or the accolade. No, that wasn't it with him. Again, such a just devout respect of the game, of the team that he built year to year, the kids and how they respected each other as teammates and the young men that they became. I think other coaches, when they find somebody like that, because it's not necessarily the standard that you see day in and day out. When another coach sees that, they respect it. And I think that's how, everything that he had was earned from that regard. It truly was.
Is his state championships at Forest a bigger deal than his tenure at Bellevue? Are they equal with each other, or is there no way to quantify that in your mind?
Well, and this is something that I've thought about, over the years, and just knowing him, and I think if you talk to him, look, it's all going to be special to him, and I would never. I'm not going to put words in his mouth or anything of that nature. I don't want to sound like I could speak for him, because I can't. But I think as he looks at all of that, it's all special because of the impact that game that he loved so much carried through the community, carried through the kids and the players and the teams that he had. Because if you talk to him about the Jefferson County team, which we did over time, and about Youngblood and those teams that he had there, it of course he would smile and it lit him up. And if you talk about the 70s team that he had at Forest, with the Brantleys and the Kirks and Tyrone and Greg Jones is of the world.
Butch Elkins was on that team.
Right up. What's that?
Butch Elkins was on that team.
Butch Elkins was on that team. Exactly. Yes, but he, it just he just was absolutely. So to quantify, state championships versus, a Final 8, Final 4 appearance at Bellevue, I think he looks at it a lot deeper than that, honestly. I do.
How much in your career, last question for former County Athletic Director Jody Phillips. Last question, Jody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, too. In your endeavors after you left the coaching tree of Coach Hall, after you left Bellevue and went on, how much of Coach Hall and the experience you got from him, how much of that shaped your illustrious career in athletics throughout Marion County?
Well, it's just unspoken. Look, I was blessed, as I said, I have a relationship with guys like Coach Hall, Coach Wayne Yancey, Coach Jim Simmons, Buddy Lowe from Leesburg. That all of those folks played a huge. Coach Jim Haley, as we talked about earlier, they all played a role in shaping me as a coach. But Coach Hall was definitely a big part of that, and we tried to carry on his legacy in the years that I spent at Forest. And I don't know that we did a good job, but he always seemed to act like we made him proud.
Well, he seems like a man, if you gave 100% and you did the best you could do, that was actually what he was after. The state titles and championships would take care of themselves. If you gave your all and gave 100%, that's all he asked for, and that's all he required. Although John Brantley would tell you, John Brantley III would tell you, when they ask him about two-a-days, he goes, two-a-days? We went all-a-days in spring practice.
That's right.
Jody, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Thanks for taking time out with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tom.
Yep. We'll take a break. We'll come back after this timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Howdy, folks. RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's